evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's election forum for the 3rd Congressional District. My name is Steve Henson. I'm the managing editor at the Chieftain. The Chieftain is one of the sponsors this evening, along with Action 22, the 2020 Commission's Governance Task Force, Pueblo Community College's Center for New Media, and Pueblo Memorial Hall. A few words about the format. If you've been to several of these, you're familiar with that. Each candidate will have two minutes to talk about their points of view and to ask for your vote. And then we'll go into a series of questions that have been submitted by the Pueblo Chieftain. We won't be taking questions from the audience, and that's designed to protect the candidates. Feel free to visit with them or either this evening or throughout the rest of the campaign. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question, and then we'll have a 1-minute rebuttal. And then somewhere about 45, 50 minutes into the program, then we'll wrap it up, and then each candidate will have 2 minutes to summarize their thoughts on the evening. Mr. Tipton won the coin toss, and he elected to conclude the event tonight, so we will have opening remarks from Abel Tapia. Abel?
Thank you, Steve. Hello, my name is Abel Tapia, and I'm running for Congress. I want to thank the sponsors tonight. I also want to thank our community for coming out to witness this debate. I want to thank my opponent, Congressman Tipton. I'm sorry we couldn't debate in Durango and Montrose and Alamosa, but we are here tonight, so thank you. The most obvious question that I'm always asked is, why am I running for Congress? This weekend, there was an interesting editorial guest column in the Pueblo Chieftain written by Lee Hamilton. He said, congressional leaders spent the better part of 2 years avoiding tough votes. He also said that they passed fewer bills than any other Congress in 60-year history. The guest columnist concluded by saying, people want to see their elected officials tackling issues that concern our country. That is exactly why I'm running. This is what I'm about. This community knows me as a state senator that worked across the aisle, that worked for issues that actually benefit Colorado. I served on the school board. I was on the Chamber of Commerce. I also was on the Joint Budget Committee. And in that committee, it was a bipartisan committee, and we had to get the budget done. My priorities to go to Congress is, number one, to create an environment for small businesses to flourish. Also, to get all the money that we're due for critical infrastructure needs. Number two is to protect seniors and women's and veterans' rights, as well as the rights of the gay and lesbian community. And third, education is a major priority for me. I have the education, the business background, the political background to take this position for the people of this county. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now have opening remarks from Scott Tipton.
Well, thanks, Steve, and I'd certainly like to echo my thanks to the Pueblo Chieftain and Action 22 for putting on this debate, and for all of you taking time out of your schedule to be here. And Ms. Tapia, great to be with you, and would like to take a moment to be able to recognize my bride of 31 years, Jean, who's able to be here with me tonight as well. You know, since I've had the opportunity, the privilege to be able to represent this district in Congress, we've actually been able to achieve results and to be able to lead. During this period of time, we've had 3 bills that have been signed into law. We've had another piece of legislation which is enacted through executive action. During this Congress, we've had success as well. We've been able to pass through the House of Representatives the Planning for America's Energy Future Act, to be able to put our resources here to work, to be able to create American jobs on American soil. The Healthy Forest Management and Wildfire Act, to be able to address the challenges that we see in our forests. The Protecting Our Water Rights Act, something that is so near and dear to every Coloradoan's heart. And I'm pleased to be able to report to you that those 3 pieces of legislation, which now sit on the doorstep of the United States Senate, I was able to get through not only committee, but through the full House of Representatives with bipartisan support. Mr. Tapia mentioned being able to get something actually signed into law. We've been able to do that. We were able to get a bill signed by the President into law this year. This was the Small Hydroelectric and Jobs Act, which is currently law and signed into law by the President of the United States, passed through the House with bipartisan support, creating jobs right here in the 3rd Congressional District. We've been able to achieve those results with your help and with your support. But traveling through our district, it is about jobs. It's about the economy. It's about the opportunity for our children to be able to grow up and to be able to inherit and live that American dream. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what we're working toward. Those are the results that we've been able to demonstrate. My name is Scott Tipton. I'm running for Congress. I ask for your vote and for your support.
Very well, we'll begin the question and answer portion, and Mr. Tipton, you'll answer the first one. As you know, the 3rd Congressional District is a huge district geographically with very different communities. How have you managed to represent so many divergent interests?
Steve, I appreciate that question. For those of you that aren't familiar with our full district, we have 29 counties, 54,000 square miles, Colorado. Something I like to tease the members from the Texas delegation, if we flattened our district out, we'd be bigger in the state of Texas. We've got a lot of ground to be able to cover. And we do have diverse communities. We have some of the wealthiest communities in the entire United States, and we have some of the poorest as well. We've reached out. We have held probably more town halls in the entire Colorado delegation, reaching out into our communities, most recently here in Pueblo, Colorado, just a few weeks ago, listening to the concerns, carrying back those messages. And one thing that struck me as we've held those town hall meetings, as I've sat down in round tables here in Pueblo with women-owned businesses, there is a constant that we are hearing. It's about jobs, a government that is creating a scenario to where we're not able to create those jobs because of moving bars, uncertainty in regulations. What are going to be the impacts of the Affordable Care Act? How is it going to impact those job creations? So it's reaching out into those communities, it's listening to those concerns, and then carrying that message to Washington, D.C., and having success in a bipartisan fashion to actually be able to achieve results. I think that's what our people expect. That's what we've been able to deliver, and something that we're committed to continuing.
So, Mr. Tapia, it'd be slightly different for you. If you were elected, how would you represent this huge district?
Thank you, Steve. One of the joys of this decision that I made to run for this district was to be able to travel 29 counties. I came to the conclusion that if the adjective beautiful applies to your community, you're in the 3rd Congressional District. It's enormous. It's quite an effort to get from one point to the other, but there are points of common interest. One of the things that I have found is this vast community is rural. And rural Colorado versus urban Colorado has always been an issue, particularly here in Pueblo as I represented this district. Also, the ag economy has been so vibrant in the whole 3rd Congressional District, from Paonia to Delta to Montrose to Gunnison. It's just a beautiful district, and their desire to continue to flourish. It's also very tourist-oriented. We have ski areas, we have hotels, we have one of the most desirable sites in the world. We just heard that there's going to be a movie in Telluride. If you haven't been to Telluride, it's absolutely beautiful. So those interests are common in terms of agriculture, in terms of protecting the water rights and agriculture, and just making sure that we continue to flourish in those areas, particularly with the correct labor and the correct resources that they need.
Mr. Tipton, other thoughts on this question?
You bet. Mr. Tapia just brought up the importance of water for our agricultural communities. We passed a bill through the House of Representatives with bipartisan support to be able to protect our agricultural communities from this administration's overreach coming in trying to make them sign over their water rights to the federal government, affecting the ski industry that you noted as well. We've been standing up for those jobs, for those agricultural community interests, to make sure that we're hanging on to something that, as Coloradoans, we all embrace. The importance of protecting private property rights, to make sure that we're standing behind state law, not federal law, when it comes to encroaching on our rights, and then making sure that we're standing up for the priority-based system here in Colorado as well. We have something called the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. We're sending that message to Washington, D.C. We're going to stand up for the people of Colorado, our farm and ranch communities, and our tourism businesses as well.
Well, agriculture is paramount in this community. I've traveled this district, and from the Palisade peaches to the Olathe farms and the corn in Olathe, to San Luis Valley and the potatoes, to here in Pueblo with our chili, and even off to Rocky Ford. Water is so important. Now, water also depends on the ability to get it harvested. I hear over and over again about the inability to get enough labor to be able to harvest the produce that they produce. And if they cannot harvest that produce, they're going to go to another product like wheat or something that's more mechanized that's not good for our economy and also uses more water. So we need to stand up and address the immigration issue, which has just bypassed the whole congressional delegation. We need to do it because it's important to the future of our 3rd Congressional District.
Well, you both touched on various topics. We'll get to those so you have a little more time to talk about them. The next question, Mr. Tapia, you'll answer this one first. If you are elected, what specific legislation do you intend to introduce in Congress?
Well, I rely on my background as an engineer for 30 years. I've worked in the highway infrastructure area. I feel that